So the MLB 20 hype train is in full effect. People are getting really excited about the game. And with all the developer streams and the new promotional videos and the features they've shown off, it looks as though MLB The Show 20 has a lot of potential and hopefully a lot of promise. But one thing that we always have to keep in mind is not to let our hype level get extremely high to the point where the game cannot even satisfy your own excitement. It's totally okay to be excited for the game and to be hyped for it, but at the same time, your experience with the game is what's going to make or break it for you. They can add all the new features in the world, but if you don't enjoy your experience with it, you're not going to enjoy the game. So in this video, I wanted to give you guys 5 things that I think MLB The Show 20 needs to get right in order for this to be the best installment of the game they've had yet. Also, apologies for my voice today. I'm a little bit sick, a little bit nasally, so I'll get better in a couple days and then, you should hear my normal voice again. But if you guys are excited for MLB The Show 20, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm covering all the news, information, everything leading up to the launch of the game. So if you're excited for it, make sure to stick around. This is definitely the place to be. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here, probably pretty obvious and pretty self-explanatory, but MLB The Show this year for sure needs to get the hitting engine right. Hitting is always a very strong point of contention for a lot of fans of the series. Throughout the year, inconsistencies usually start to show up and people can get really upset about the feedback and the hitting and the PCI. It's always tough to get right. Many people consider the MLB 15-16 era to have the best of the hitting engines the game has produced so far. And in MLB The Show 17, they added new ball physics into the game, so you started to see a lot of different and new hit types throughout your gameplay. But those ball physics also had a little bit of a negative effect too, because there was something up with the hitting engine that year because the meta of the game was swinging late. Like if you swung at a pitch and you had good timing, you were not getting rewarded nearly as much as if you were swinging just late or something along those lines. If you ever hear the meme in the MLB The Show community, just late be great, it comes from MLB The Show 17. And I'm not talking about like you were just kind of getting more hits and you might get more bloopers over the second baseman's head and stuff like that. I'm legitimately talking it did not make sense in terms of physics. If you swung at a pitch inside with late timing, you were getting 100, 110, maybe even 115 plus exit velocities consistently. That doesn't make sense. So 17 was a really tough year for hitting. A lot of people were able to kind of overlook it because the content was so good that year. And that leads us into MLB The Show 18, which in my opinion was kind of a black eye on the franchise for hitting. Contact hitters were basically irrelevant. The only stat that mattered was power. If you weren't hitting a home run, you probably weren't even getting on base. It was home run or bust from day one to the end of the game. And MLB The Show 18 was just a really rough year in terms of hitting. Now, MLB The Show 19 actually, in my opinion, have the best hitting engine since MLB The Show 16. And I can complain about the lineouts all day long, but at least for the most part, you were getting rewarded for better timed swings than late or earlies. Exit velocities seemed to be up across the board on good timing swings. The issue with the game was just lining out a lot of excess foul balls. So I think MLB The Show 19 has a good foundation for MLB The Show 20 to really nail it this year. And going off the developer streams, they're showing off the new perfect hit type, where depending on the batter, if you get a perfectly timed swing and your PCI is perfectly on the ball, you're going to get the best possible result you can get. That doesn't mean you're going to be getting a hit every single time, but take a listen to this clip where they talk about the averages with perfect versus good squared up and good and stuff like that.
Yeah, let's show the batting average a little bit.
So there are over 6 million swings in the closed beta. This is the batting average, slugging percentage, and OPS for all of the swings put in play with the swing timing and contact types. As you see, perfect tends to find grass at a very high clip, like you would expect.
Yep, and again, the outs you're making are going to be, that contact hitter who can't get it, can't push the ball out oppo, and he's going to hit a fly ball, or the shift actually can become important too. If you hit you got some sort of shift on, you hit a hard line drive at somebody. That happens some of the times, but not very often. On a perfect, we're seeing an 860 batting average.
Pretty insane.
And if you parallel that to in the MLB, a little thing called barrel, not exactly the same. We're seeing around around the same batting averages.
Yeah,
that you
pretty
expect to see in real
solid
life.
average.
So I think that's really promising, and I'm really hoping that this year is the year where hitting can really take a step forward. Perfect is really enticing, especially from a competitive standpoint. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. Hitting is a very touchy subject every year, but I think MLB The Show has a good foundation, and hopefully 20 is where they put it together. So next up, I think MLB The Show this year really needs to nail the servers. Now, to be honest, the servers the past couple years have been really good. There's been small issues here and there, but nothing to the lengths we were having to go to in MLB The Show 17, where every game was going to the queue, or we would have random disconnects and stuff like that. A lot of the time when you disconnect nowadays, it's either because of your internet or your opponent's internet. The servers, for the most part, on MLB have been really good lately. Now, the reason I say there needs to be an emphasis on the servers this year, even more than the past couple years, is because of the new game mode Custom Leagues. If you guys have missed anything about Custom Leagues, it's basically like a core version of online franchise that you can play with regular MLB teams and rosters, and you can also play with Diamond Dynasty cards as well. Now, since online franchise hasn't been in the game in a couple years, this is a new avenue for those people who might not like Diamond Dynasty but still kind of want to play online with their friends. This is their spot. This is where you're going to be seeing a lot of games played from a portion of the community that doesn't necessarily always play online. So basically, with the volume of people that are going to be playing, the amount of new players, or technically new players, I guess you can say, that are going to be online this year, I think the servers might be a little bit more stressed, but overall, I mean, I'm not too worried about this. It's just something that we want to kind of remember. More people on the server can possibly lead to more server issues, so hopefully we don't see that this year. I do have a lot of faith, but, you know, still should be said. All right, so the next couple points are both going to be talking about content, specifically in Diamond Dynasty. The first of which, I think MLB The Show needs better diversification of content in the game this year. Basically, what I mean by that is I think we need more endgame cards, or just cards overall that aren't necessarily just signature series cards. Now, to be clear, I actually really liked signature cards this year. I thought they were way better than Immortals. The fact that there was a high amount of them obviously helped that. But I mean, you go into the game right now and you go ahead and hop on and see all these endgame teams. I would say like 70 to 80% of the rosters you're playing are mainly signature series cards. So you see kind of a lot of black and white in those pregame screens. I mean, you take a look at the other versions of cards they released, such as the Finest this year. The Finest were a huge W. Everybody loved them. The fact that there was a vote, there was at least one on every team. That's a great series of cards, and some of them were really good, even endgame type cards. I think we need more stuff like that. Just kind of keep the diversification there, keep some variety in the game. You know, when you're hopping on every week to grind for the new cards that have been introduced in the game and they're always a signature series, of course each card is going to be individually different with their attributes and everything, but you're still grinding for the same thing. You're going for signature cards over and over and over again. Let's get some more single season cards in there. Let's get some new series of cards in there. They've already shown they're adding the prospect cards with that Adley Rushman and Joe Adell. Hopefully they've got some new types of series and content under their sleeve, but give us some more diversification of the content and how it's released this year. I think content at its core in MLB The Show the past year has been amazing, so I don't necessarily think you need to change the structure. Let's just see a little bit more variety in the cards that we're actually getting. So once again, for this next point, sticking with content, I'm going to talk about the BR reward structure. Normally the Battle Royale structure when the game launches is you pay 1,500 stubs for your entry, you automatically get a standard pack. Then at 3 wins in BR, you're getting a bronze, 6 wins gets you a silver, 9 wins gets you a gold, and 12 wins gets you a diamond. And then if you go 12-0, you get that flawless pack. The issue I have with that reward structure is the fact that I don't feel like those rewards accurately reward the player for the time spent. Forget going 12-0, forget getting 12 wins to begin with. Getting 9 wins in BR is a tough enough task to achieve. Ask Kevin God. And when you spend your time drafting a team and using that 1,500 stub entry and you get all the way to a 9-win run, that's pretty exciting for a lot of people. Like that's a hard task to achieve. I know some of the more competitive players and be like, yo, 9 wins is nothing, blah, blah, blah. But you got to look at it from the overall standpoint of the community. Not everybody is a 12-0 player. So I think when you get 9 wins and then you get rewarded with a gold card that might not necessarily be going for anything more than 12 to 1,500 subs on the market, sure, you're getting value on paper, obviously, but 1,000 stubs, 2,000 stubs with the pack and the silver, like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to accurately reflect the time investment that a BR run entails. They updated the reward structure in 19 later on in the year with adding stub vouchers at 9 and 12 wins. I think they added diamonds at 9 wins and stuff too, and stuff like that. Like, that's good. Make people want to play BR. Honestly, for me, for the first I would say 3 to 4 months, I barely even played any Battle Royale. I just didn't think it was worth it at all. And don't get me wrong, if you're not very good at the game and you're not getting very high Battle Royale runs, you probably shouldn't be getting rewarded. But you know, you play more, you get better, and then when you finally get a nice run, like 9, 10 wins, that should be exciting when you get a reward. And if you get a gold card that doesn't go for very much, you're like, well, I did really good and I still got nothing. So I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority about that. Maybe BR rewards should stay the same. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments. All right, and the very last thing I think MLB The Show 20 needs to get right this year is communication. They've definitely gotten better each year about their communication, the volume of streams they're doing over on their Twitch channel, the amount of blog posts, forum responses. The communication has gotten a lot better, but I think it could be even better than it is now. Let's get some more streams, man. Let's do a stream a week, 2 times a week. You know, you've got this new stream room that they're very excited to obviously be using. Let's put it into effect. Let's make it happen. Even if you don't have answers to questions that the community has right away, people still will take the value of seeing you go in front of the community and talk about things, saying, we're still working on this, give us time. That goes a long way with people and the comfortability with the community. Sometimes people complain about things that they just don't necessarily understand, and if you have some sort of way to tell people, hey, this is why this works the way it does, you might not necessarily agree with it, but at least you heard it from the developers themselves instead of some random Twitter thread where people are just guessing on what's going on and why this is happening. It's always better to get it from the source, so communication this year is, in my opinion, a huge piece of importance, and I really hope they do better with it again this year. So those are the 5 things that I think MLB The Show 20 really needs to get right this year. Down in the comments, let me know what you think. Is there something on this that I didn't talk about that you think would really make the game good this year? Feel free to sound off down there. Remember, if you guys are new, feel free to subscribe to the channel. This is where we're covering all the MLB The Show 20 news and information. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.